Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Alright, guys, we are going to talk about the Procyon Starseed souls tonight. I've done other of these different Starseed peeps throughout the series, and Procyon is one that doesn't get brought up a lot, but is one that I have had on my radar for a long time, just about as long as the Pleiadians. And for myself, they're very similar to the Pleiadians, especially in the ways that like they get depicted. A lot of times they'll be kind of like that Nordic, blonde hair, blue-eyed feel, okay? But they're different, and they are from a different, place. They're from the Procyon area. So Procyon Starseed souls, which if you are a starseed soul, you may carry multiple starseed energies. You may have incarnated onto the planet at this time and have had lived lives as Pleiadian, as Procyon, as this, as that, okay? So these videos are basically here to help people to confirm and even explore a little bit more about themselves and just, get that confirmation. So the Procyon starseeds are going to be highly intelligent beings, and they're going to have an advanced intellectual ability. So these are going to be people that they look at things and they see the flaws, or they see where other people may not be utilizing the fullness of their brain. Or they don't necessarily need to specialize in stuff. Like, what's coming into my mind is I've been watching, these people who are experts in a field of like investigating criminal behavior and interviewing criminals, right? And I'm listening to the guy and how he tears apart like the things that people say and what within that would be deceptive and things like that. But a lot of times while I'm listening to these experts, they zone in or hone in on these areas that I'm like, dude, that doesn't really mean that, like we can't 100% be like, boop. One of the examples was when people lie, a lot of times they will lie and they mix up like the past tense, present tense. Like when they tell the story about something, they're like, I was doing this and I was sitting in this chair, and then they come over instead of they came over. That can be indicating that they're making that up. Like they're telling the truth about like part of it, like the parts where it's like in past tense, but the parts where it's coming through in present tense, it's usually just fabricated. However, there was a part of something where the guy really went in hard about this person who had been like, that was the last time I seen her, okay? And the reason why I disagreed with him on this was because I lived in a relationship with somebody, and the whole family, every time they ever saw someone, they'd be like, oh, guess who I seen today? Oh, I seen this, and they never used the word saw. So they didn't use that past tense appropriately, and it irked me bad whenever they did it. Now, granted, they were all a bunch of lying, manipulating jerks, but we can't say that everybody that says it in that way is definitely lying. However, that person who said it was also saying other things in the same conversation, or the same minute, was like, oh yeah, talking about what happened that day, and every time would talk about what the person that is in question was doing, they would put it into come on, oh, like just wasn't appropriately worded, okay? But because of other experiences, you may be able to see where like, okay, well, we can't 100% say that that's not right, because there's people out there. So you don't necessarily need a degree to even figure out when people are deceptive. You don't need a degree to analyze things, and that's just an example of what's coming up, because again, with these abilities, they're going to be people that are intuitive. They're going to be people that can acquire large amounts of information and analyze a large amount of examples within their world, and be able to look at things in a way where it's like, all right, well, we're not going to just like jump to conclusions here. You're going to be able to understand things on a different level. And then adaptable. They believe to be highly adaptable individuals. capable of navigating various situations with ease. So kind of what I was just saying too, you are going to be able to use that ability to be perceptive and understanding and very coherent and logical, but also just having a brain up in there that will get you able to be in situations that other people wouldn't be able to adapt to. They may not be able to pick up on subtleties. They may not be able to recognize things that you would. Innovative thinking, known for the creative and innovative approach to problem solving. So again, I feel like this is kind of what, what's coming through in this, and it's maybe not the best example, but it's just what's coming up from this past week for myself, and how I can see that type of energy being present within it, where it's like you're gonna be able to get to the same results as other people, but in a different way, or in a way that isn't limiting, or in a way that doesn't shut things off, or just jump to a conclusion. You're going to be able to solve the problem in ways that other people may not have been able to. An empathic nature. They have a heightened sense of empathy, and they connect deeply with the emotions of others. So when you watch things, or you are aware of things, or you deal with things, it's going to impact you a lot more than others. This last week I was very upset, crying for days because of seeing something to do with somebody that I don't even know personally, but it hit me hard. And when that happens, it's debilitating. It's like I can't get up. I just lay in bed and cry and die. It's like, oh. So you may be very highly empathic in that way, where things that don't bother other people, or things that bother other people, may not bother them to the degree that it bothers you. You may sit in the back of your mind, and it's unfortunate because I feel like people like ourselves, we attract people into our lives sometimes that are manipulative, or that trigger that in us, because they're not like that. They don't have that. They get off on hurting others. There's people out there, and I just don't understand it, but that's like what their whole end game is just messing with other people, manipulating other people, trying to get things to go in their way, and when they don't go in their way, they hurt others. And that's something you won't be able to understand. You may understand it logically, intelligence-wise, like I get it up here, but I don't get it here. And it will probably be very hurtful to you to deal with those types of individuals. They're also very capable of having healing abilities, and they'll have a natural healing energy and a strong inclination towards holistic well-being. So these are going to be, people that are Reiki healers, sound healers, shamans, or just even nurturers. You may be a mother, or a motherly type. It could be with pets, it could be with friends, it could be with a community, but you're going to have that ability to heal others because of that deepened sensitivity and understanding. And a spiritual awareness. The Procyon Starseeds are often associated with profound spiritual awareness and deep understanding of metaphysical concepts. So when you see things, you don't need someone to explain what that means to you. When we talk about 4D and 5D and 3D and all these things, you just understand it on a level where it's like, I don't need to go look that up and dive deep into it. I also feel like with this spiritual awareness is you're going to be able to sense what's actually real and what's not real, because there's a lot of people out there that pull crap out their butt and they just make it up. I've seen people be like, oh, this type of starseed, that I'm like, that does not even exist. That's not even a thing. But who am I to say which ones are real and which ones aren't, because there is no hard evidence of them all, but it's a spiritual awareness. And I can tell when there's a legitimate energy present and when there's not. And I can tell when there's a legitimate issue at hand and when there's not. I had someone reach out recently. I would be doing a reading for them, and in their message, I could see a lot of things that they're worried about happening, or has happened, or they're dealing with currently. And I can see within it what's real, what's not real, and why it's there, and all of that. So in the reading, I'm going to dive deep into all of that for them and explain it to them. It's hard to just be like, bloop, 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 very quickly, because there's a lot of concepts and things. It was a very long message, and I was like, oh my God. But it's you'll be able to look at those very long messages or those experiences of others and be like, okay, first of all, no, and yes, and this is what we're gonna do to get forward from here. So it's just a knowing, it's just a sense inside that you will get, and other people may not. So, love for nature, a strong affinity for nature and the environment is believed to be a characteristic of them. So, again, going outside would probably be good for you. Like the other day when I was really not doing good emotionally and feeling like, "Ah," I was like, I should just go outside, just go outside, just go outside, because it can break the energy that's around you, or clean, or take a shower, light Palo Santo, do something to get back into the elements. Again, we may not be heading outside, but we're washing with water, which is an element, or we're lighting a flame to use the Palo Santo, which is a tree, So those things may be comforting to you. In intuitive insights, they may rely on intuitive insights and inner guidance in their decision-making process. So I did a pick a card reading yesterday and explained in two of the piles how the other night when I was driving, for the first time driving again for Uber in 4 years, I was like, all right, show me yes. And I felt like a sinky feeling. And I was like, all right, show me no. And I felt like a rising feeling, which may seem weird, but it was intuitively insighted into me. And I was like, okay, should I go here? Yep, all right, I'm going to go there. And friggin' 5 minutes later, I get a $50 order, which is a very large order. And it's good because it's like, all right, I'm gonna make $50 off of this one ride. And then I don't have to worry about getting like 5 rides of short little ones, But I feel like me tapping in and trusting the intuition and going where I was guided because if I got on the highway and drove in the other direction, I wouldn't have got that. Especially because now, back in the day, it didn't used to do this. Now, like the first one that came up the other night was for $25. I didn't get it because I wasn't close enough. Like you can say, I'll take it, but then they're like, all right, let's see if you're the best fit for this, because there's other people out right now that want it as well. And whoever's closest to it gets it. So I missed the $25 one, but later that night got the $50 one. So having that connection, intuitive insights, it may be through the numbers, it may be through synchronicity. I've been seeing a lot of wolf energy, I've been seeing a lot of dog energy, a lot of husky energy. So last night I printed out all of like, what are the meaning of this? And I posted on my personal Bridget Rao Facebook. And it's just the messages that were in it were so dead on for things that I've been experiencing and feeling and going through with people. And it's like, okay, but that's intuitively coming, and it was intuitively guided for me to even go look it up and put it out there, or even acknowledge it and read about it for myself. So you will have those things help you with your decision making. Global consciousness, a sense of global consciousness and a desire to contribute positively to the collective are often attributed to the Procyon Starseeds. So again, things that I've been seeing recently, like I'm seeing in other countries, I'm in the United States, there's a lot of like farmers coming together to go against the state, go against the government and be like, dude, we're not doing this. We're not going to poison our people. We're not going to just like settle down and not fight about these things that are atrocities to our world. And I feel like that's something that we need here too. Like we need to come together globally, and not in the New World Order way, but in the way of like helping each other and coming together as a community, because there's so many more of us than there is of the ones that are dictating the things that are happening that are really bad and getting out of control and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So you may have that inside of you too. Like, well, guys, we need to work together. We need to help the globe here, not just ourselves individually. And that's something that was bothering me in the past few days too, is how a lot of people get super focused on self rather than helping others, or what can I do to be in service to the whole. And I think a Procyon Starseed's going to have that as well, where it's like these little things about self of like, getting this thing that you like for you. It's not going to be as fulfilling, and it's going to be a short-lived thing as if you were to go and take that time, energy, and effort, or that money that you were going to invest into that little thing for yourself and give it to something that means something, that's powerful, that helps others, and keeps helping. So you would have things like that you would be inspired to do. You may sacrifice things for yourself to give to others. Telepathic abilities. Some sources suggest that they may have telepathic abilities. So I know it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you think about somebody and they call, or you have like a moment. I've had this a lot with like my sisters and my family members or people that I've gotten close to, where I just know what's going on with them before they tell me, and then they like will confirm it a couple of days later. Or I'll even, dive into it deeper, get the answers, and then reach out to that person and be like, yo, and they're like, what the hell? Like, and I'm not reading their mind, but I just know. I just know when people are thinking about me. I know when people are talking about me. I know when people are being good about it and not being good about it. And I know when people are struggling or suffering, that are in my energy field. And then connection to water, like I was just saying, taking a shower. So, this is similar to Sarian starseeds. They may have a strong connection to the water element, and that may be something that's good for you to utilize. Taking a shower, going outside, getting near the ocean, getting near the beach, connecting with streams, just whatever, feels right for you specifically, but they are going to heal emotionally with that connection to the water. And a cosmic curiosity, they're going to be very curious about the cosmos, and they may be fascinated with different mysteries of the universe and figuring out like what really is a star and what's in the side of the core of this, and what's a black hole, and where's a black hole go, and wanting to dive deeper into those things. Or even like every time I go outside at night, I'm like, especially if it's a clear night. The other night when I went out driving, when I came home, it was like 2:44 a.m. It was perfect. I could see the Pleiades, I could see Orion, I could see everything, and it's so clear and quiet and still. It's like nice. So you'd probably be, drawn to that type of energy as well. Interstellar communication, believed to have the capacity to communicate with extraterrestrial beings or energies. When I do these, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm bringing through their messages and their guidance. They're giving me like little bings of information. I've caught it on camera where these little bings come into my head, and I'm like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like I'll go from being like, I don't know, to ping, blah, 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 blah. That's me communicating with the guides that I have. And when I go outside at night and look at the stars, I communicate with stars. They work as pendulums too. And I can ask them to come closer, and I can ask them to give me yes and no answers. And that's enhanced over time as well. So you probably have that ability as well. You may not even realize you're doing it. Some of us are automatically writing, and we think we're just writing a poem, or we're just drawing, or we're just doodling. But when you step back from it, you may recognize you were channeling in that moment. You were channeling energy and frequency and messages or whatever needed to come through into what you were doing. When I make my products, when I make my little pyramids, when I make candles, when I make my decks, when I do the readings, when I do these videos, it's always channeling that's coming through. So if you're not aware of that at this time, become more aware of it, set the intention to connect to it better. And then non-conformist spirit, a tendency to question social norms and non-conformist approach to life. So like I was saying, like there's so many more of us guys, like let's not just go along with this. And you see beyond the whole illusion of freedom and the whole illusion of choice and voting and things like that. There's so many people that get so sucked up and consumed into it, but they have no idea that like at the end of the day, it's a fabricated thing. And so many more people are becoming aware of that too. Like the whole Super Bowl thing right now with Taylor Swift. You think that's just a coincidence that that's who's going in? I've seen, like, they've messed up. They've messed up before that was even known. And they were, like, putting things out with the Super Bowl colors and talking about who's going to be performing at the Super Bowl before they knew. Well, like, before they were supposed to know, okay? Because they already knew. But a lot of it is to do with manipulating and they've got a whole new crowd of little girls that are into football this year because Taylor Swift has been at all the games. It's a money grab. It's a manipulating thing. It's advertising, and it's good that a lot of people are seeing through that. But again, you're not going to conform to that stuff. You're not like, oh my god, Taylor Swift. You may like her music, but you're not going to be sucked into the weirdness that people get sucked into. And then harmony seeking, a desire for harmony and balance in personal collective experiences. So like I said, it's like you can understand liking music, you can understand, going to an event or whatever, but you're not going to be going in there in a way that's unbalanced. You're not going to be like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift. Oh my god, I gotta learn everything about football. You're not going to get tricked by those things. And you're going to want balance in all areas of your life. You may at times fall out of it, but when you're in balance with the things in your life, you'll be better off. You'll be more connected to spirit. It'll be easier for you to navigate life. And then technological affinity, they may be drawn to technical or technology and have an innate understanding of it. So, I know as technology evolves, it gets a little bit more complicated each year, but I'm very grateful that I'm one of those people that seems to be able to just kind of go with it intuitively. Of course, there's things that have tripped me up, or I'm like, ah. And I think it's more so the ADHD, where it's like, I haven't done it yet. So because I haven't done it yet, it's going to take me a little while before I actually get over the hurdle of doing it. But once I go and do it, I'm like, wow, that was so easy. But you may be in that type of energy more so than someone that's like, I can't work anything. And again, the things, like, people come and ask me questions about technology or about posting here or doing this or doing that, and it's just second nature to me. So you may have that ability, it's just second nature to you. You don't really think about it, and when people ask you about it, you may be like, oh my god, okay, like, I didn't realize you didn't know that that's available. And a lot of people are afraid of technology, like they're afraid to hit the wrong button or break something. And it's like, I used to be that way when I was younger, but over time I was like, just push the buttons, man. If you break something, we'll fix it. But it's usually, there's a button to be pushed, push it, see what it does. Then push it again if you didn't do what you wanted, or back up, delete, Control Alt Delete. You'll have that natural instinct to just explore and utilize those things. And then a dream work prowess, a talent for vivid and insightful dream experiences and interpretation. So you may not, dream yourself all the time. You may be able to interpret dreams, though, or again, with that symbolism of synchronicity and things like that, it's kind of like living dream. You may be able to really understand the deeper meanings of those. But when you do dream, it would probably be pretty intense and have deeper meaning. I don't always remember my dreams, but when I do, there's usually weird, like, in-depth craziness that's going on within them. And it can speak to your subconscious, but you may be somebody that can help others to interpret it, what they're dreaming about. Philanthropic spirit, an inclination towards philanthropy and making a positive impact on society, which we've already discussed earlier in this, so I think that just confirms what I was saying. Like, you are going to receive more from giving than you are going to just be from receiving. And then stargazing fascination, a love for observing and studying the stars and celestial phenomena. I already talked about this. And then a timelessness perception. Some sources suggest Procyon starseeds may have a unique perception of time, viewing it as more fluid and interconnected concept. And I think, again, for myself, like, time is an illusion, and it can shift for me dramatically. It's like 22:22 just went by on the clock, but some days things are like crawling by, and other days it's like and then it can just shift instantly, like in moments. It's like, how did it become 10 o'clock? Or how has it been 3 weeks? Or how has it been 5 years? Or how has it been a decade? You may experience time differently than others, but if you do, recognize that you can probably bend time or shift time and really utilize that to your favor by just becoming more aware of what you're wanting, and instead of going in the fear of the direction that you're headed, like, I'm running out of time, stop in that moment and be like, please give me more time, or slow down time, or I'm not running out of time. Like, shift what you're thinking about it or how you're perceiving it so that you can experience it differently. And I find that does work. Okay, so hopefully this will assist you guys. And if there's another starseed type that you would like me to cover, please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. I have a sale on my Etsy. I have readings on my website. And in Munay, namaste.